You think you will finally be happy when you get there. The house, the salary, the person, the number in your account. You are certain that when it arrives, this restless emptiness will finally stop. You have been certain about this your whole life. As a kid, it was a toy, then a grade, then a job, a body, a person, a number. Each time you were sure this was the one that would finally be enough. And each time, a few weeks after you got it, the wanting came back, now aimed at something new, as if the last thing had never happened. It won't stop this time either. In 1978, 3 scientists went looking for the happiest people alive. People who had just won the lottery, millions of dollars, overnight, out of nowhere. A year later, they were no happier than their neighbors. Some of them were worse. The thing you are chasing does not do what you think it does, and your own brain is built to make sure of it. This is the hedonic treadmill. No matter what you gain, you slide back to where you started. The high fades, the number resets, the thrill drains out, and you start running again, toward the next thing. It is not weakness, it is wiring. This is the experiment-backed reason nothing in your life is ever enough. Go back to that study, because the details are worse than the summary. The researchers were Brickman, Coates, and Janoff Bowman. They found 22 people who had won major lottery jackpots. Then they did something cruel and brilliant. They compared the winners to a group nobody on Earth envies. People who had just been paralyzed in accidents. The gap should have been a canyon. The winners on a mountaintop. The victims at the bottom of a pit. But that is not what the numbers said. The lottery winners were barely happier than a normal control group. And it gets darker. They rated everyday pleasures, a good meal, a warm morning, a small laugh, as less enjoyable than they used to. The jackpot had bleached the color out of ordinary life. And the people who were paralyzed, far happier than anyone predicted, already drifting back toward normal. Both groups floated toward the same middle. The biggest event of their lives barely moved the needle for long. Here's the machine underneath it. Your brain runs on a happiness set point. Think of it as a thermostat for your mood. Push it up with a win, and it quietly cools back down. Drag it down with a loss, and it slowly warms back up. Studies on identical twins suggest a huge part of it is simply set. Money, houses, titles. They move that thermostat far less, and for far less time than you desperately believe. And you have watched this happen your entire life. The new phone that thrilled you for a week, then became just a phone. The raise that felt enormous until it silently became your normal, and you needed more. The dream apartment you stopped even seeing after a month. Psychologists have a name for it, hedonic adaptation. Whatever you acquire, your brain moves the baseline up to swallow it, and the shine is gone before you understand where it went. It even shows up in the money that was supposed to fix everything. Scientists tracked income against day-to-day happiness. Past a certain point, enough to cover your life, piling on more barely moves how you feel from day to day. The paycheck grows, the wanting grows with it. You buy a bigger life, and the bigger life becomes the new floor. The finish line was painted on a treadmill, and the floor never stops rising. Buy one thing nicer than the rest of your life, and suddenly everything around it looks shabby by comparison. The new couch demands a new room. The new car demands a new version of you. They call it the Diderot effect. Every purchase resets what normal costs. You didn't get richer, you just moved the whole treadmill up a floor. And here's the cruelest twist in the money. You don't measure your life against your past. You measure it against the people around you. In one study, people were asked a strange question. Would you rather earn $50,000 while everyone else earns $25,000, or earn $100,000 while everyone else earns $200,000? Most people chose to be poorer, as long as they were ahead. Your happiness was never about how much you have. It was about how much more, and someone always has more. But why does the chase feel so violent, so urgent? Because of two systems your brain deliberately blurs together: wanting and liking. A neuroscientist named Kent Berridge pulled them apart. Wanting is the engine that hurls you toward the prize. Liking is the quiet pleasure the moment you actually hold it, and they are not the same size, not even close. Your brain is built to want far more than it can ever like, so you chase with your whole body and feel almost nothing when you arrive. And there is a precise reason the wanting keeps dying on contact. Dopamine does not fire for the reward, it fires for the surprise. A scientist named Wolfram Schultz watched it happen in the brain. The first time a reward arrives unexpected, the neurons blaze. But once your brain learns to expect it, the signal goes silent. So the second time is quieter. The 10th time is nothing. The car, the promotion, the person, thrilling exactly once, and then demoted to the baseline your brain now takes for granted. And this is not a metaphor. It is the literal law of every addiction. The first hit is euphoria. The 10th is just normal. The 100th barely registers. So the dose has to keep climbing just to feel the way the first one did. Your entire life runs on that same law, and you never noticed. The first paycheck felt like flying. Now it is just a Tuesday. You are not chasing happiness. You are chasing your last high, and the price goes up every single time. If that engine sounds familiar, it should. It is the same dopamine that runs the slot machine in your pocket. There, a stranger aimed it at your attention, one refresh at a time. Here, it is aimed at your entire life. The circuit that never lets the gambler stand up is the circuit that never lets you feel finished. One machine, two cages, and here is the trap hidden inside the trap. The one moment you truly feel alive is not the moment you win. It is while you are still chasing. The wanting, the anticipation, the almost. That is where the dopamine lives. So the finish line can only ever let you down. You were never addicted to the prize. You were addicted to the reaching. And the second you hold it, the only move left is to find something new to reach for. And your brain outright lies to you about the future. A researcher named Daniel Gilbert studied how well people predict their own happiness. The answer is terribly. He called the error impact bias. Ask people how they'll feel a year after a windfall or a heartbreak. They are wildly, consistently wrong. The good never lifts as high as the fantasy promised. The bad never sinks as deep as the fear threatened. You are sprinting toward a feeling your own mind has oversold you, and it does not spare the people you love. Studies on new marriages found the same curve, a surge of joy at the start. Then, within about 2 years, most drift back to the happiness they had before. The person you were sure would complete you becomes quietly the background of your life. Not because love failed, because the reset does not care what it resets. And now imagine feeding that ancient machine a modern drug. 1,000 times a day, your phone shows you the highlight of someone else's life. A better body, a better trip, a better version of the thing you just got. Your baseline doesn't just reset now. It gets dragged upward by strangers, faster than any human mind was ever built to handle. The treadmill always existed. The screen just turned the speed all the way up. So watch what happens at the finish line you've been killing yourself for. You grind for years toward one goal. You finally cross it. And within days, sometimes hours, the high is gone, replaced by a strange, hollow flatness and one quiet question. Now what? Psychologists call it the arrival fallacy. The summit was never the summit. There was always another peak behind it, and your brain drew it the very moment you arrived. And if winning truly worked, you would see it at the very top. Look at the people who got everything you are chasing, the wealth that would end all your problems, the fame you imagine would finally make you feel like enough. They are not resting. They are chasing the next number, the next record, the next hit, often harder and more desperately than you are. If arriving actually satisfied the brain, the most successful people alive would be the calmest. They are frequently the most restless. They didn't escape the treadmill. They just run it at a higher speed. You have seen the interviews. The star with the fame, the money, the adoration, admitting quietly that they still feel empty. You assumed they were spoiled or ungrateful. They were just being honest about the machine you are still sprinting toward. And if you want proof the reset already won, look around you right now. You are holding a slab of glass that contains all human knowledge. You have clean water that would have ended wars. You can eat fruit in winter and cross an ocean in a single afternoon. A king 500 years ago would have traded his crown for one ordinary Tuesday of yours. And you are bored. Not because your life is small, because your brain already reset every miracle in it down to background noise. So let's name the machine you are actually trapped on. This is the reset. Every single win, your brain wipes the scoreboard back to zero. The pleasure was real. It was just never allowed to stay. And a mind that resets to zero after everything will always need the next thing. Run the tape of your own life for a second. Every version of you that swore they'd be satisfied once they got the thing. The kid with the toy, the teenager with the crush, the adult with the paycheck. Every one of them got it. Not one of them stayed satisfied. That is not a string of bad luck. That is the reset running perfectly every single time. Here is what the self-help aisle gets backwards. They tell you to just be grateful and the treadmill will stop. It won't, because the reset is not a flaw in you. It is the single reason your species is still alive. Picture an ancestor who felt permanently, deeply satisfied. One good meal and they never hunted again. One warm cave and they never built a better one. For them, contentment was a death sentence. The humans who survived were the ones who could never sit still, who ate the meal, felt the glow fade, and went hunting for the next one. Their restlessness became your restlessness. Every cathedral, every rocket, every empire was built by someone who could not leave the emptiness alone. That endless dissatisfaction built everything you have ever seen. So the reset is not a defect the self-help books can talk you out of. It is the oldest, deepest program you run, tuned across 1,000,000 years to keep you hungry no matter what you catch. The treadmill is not broken. It built the entire world, and it is quietly eating you alive. So stop waiting to feel like enough. That feeling is one your brain is engineered to never deliver. The number will arrive and move. The house will arrive and fade. The person will arrive and become ordinary. Not because any of them failed you, but because your baseline reset the instant they were yours. You were never going to feel finished. That was never on the table. So the answer was never to run harder. It was never the next win. It was never the bigger number. Those feed the machine that is eating you. The answer is quieter and much harder. It is to catch the pleasure while it is still warm, before your brain files it under normal and reaches for the next thing. The meal in the minute before it becomes just food. The person before they become just furniture. The morning before it becomes just another Tuesday. The win in the 10 quiet minutes before the reset comes to take it. That is the one move the machine cannot beat. It will still reset you. It always will. But it cannot erase a pleasure you actually stop to feel. Gratitude doesn't slow the treadmill. Attention does. For a few honest seconds at a time. You will never arrive. There is no there. There is only this. The thing already in your hands, right now. So hold it, in the last few seconds, before your brain leans back in to whisper the only thing it ever says, that it isn't enough.